Good evening and welcome to Perspective. In a significant blow to anti-state militancy, we've seen Gul Rahman, the mastermind behind the Jaffar Express incident that killed many, has reportedly been killed in Afghanistan in Helmand. We also know that he was a senior commander of the band BLA and also second in command of Majid Brigade. Interestingly, just a day ago, the DJ ISPR laid bare the complex web of terror networks operating within Afghanistan. He spoke about direct evidence of Indian involvement in terrorism. He spoke about illegal Afghan networks and terror activity. He spoke about no place for militias or non-state actors, foreign weapons being used to fuel terrorism. We'll be talking about all of that today. And a little later on, we'll turn to the recent landmark Pakistan-Saudi security pact and how attempts are being made to overshadow this landmark deal by speculation and misleading narratives. We'll unpack all of this today. We have with us Khurram Dastagir, who is former federal minister, leader PN. Thank you for being with us. Mr. Dastagir, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed I can.
Thank you for being with us. First of all, how do you see these developments, the more recent developments with regard to this leader of the BLA being killed, and in the light of all that was said by the DG ISPR not a day ago?
I think the nation can take some comfort in understanding that the state of Pakistan is now demonstrating great seriousness in tackling the new terrorist threat that has arisen since 2021. And this new announcement just tells us that if the perpetrators of Jaffar Express thought that they had gotten away with it, which was back in March, so it's been nearly 6 months, is that Pakistan's state apparatus, Pakistan's armed forces, its intelligence arms, have been working all throughout these 6 months to follow up and finally to eliminate the person who killed innocent and unarmed civilians in Balochistan back in March.
Mr. Dastagir, also, we know that the attempts that have been made by the Pakistan state to, of course, bring this, the kind of perpetration of terrorism that unfortunately still continues from the Afghani side. But, there hasn't been, one has to acknowledge the kind of success that we had hoped for. What do you attribute all of this to? Because, of course, there have been numerous efforts from the Pakistani side.
I think the first real signal of it was to name them correctly. So those who operate in KP have been named fitnatul al-khawarij that were acting in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The Balochistan part has been named fitnatul Hindustan. So we have correctly identified by naming them that what kind of people these are. And it is also for us to understand that these terrorists no longer have the old excuse of fighting some kind of resistance against the United States and Afghanistan. They do not have any excuse of an Islamic or religious jihad. So all those excuses have now been torn away and they've been exposed as the murderers and killers and enemies of Pakistan that they are. And finally, also, we have to realize when it comes to Balochistan, since we're talking about Jaffar Express, that those who seek their rights do not do so by murdering innocent civilians, their innocent fellow Pakistanis. So I think we have now begun to realize after this very long spell of terrorism that we have had in the last 4 years, is that these people are straightforward enemies of Pakistan. They have taken up guns, they are killing innocent Pakistanis, and therefore they have to be eliminated by kinetic means. And if there are people who want to lay down their arms and become part of Pakistan, then a different strategy might be tried. But as long as they keep killing Pakistani, as we have seen, a very large number of Pakistani troops, officers of armed forces being martyred in recent weeks. Therefore, the new seriousness is all the more welcome And I think it's no
Yeah.
for all of us Pakistanis and all the political parties to clarify their mindsets and say that these people are enemies of Pakistan and have to be eliminated.
But Mr. Dastagir, there's also, we've seen the effort that has come, of course, from the Pakistani side to sort of reiterate our stance as far as the terrorism that perpetrates from there. Is it an inability? Because, we've also for a time acknowledged perhaps that there is an inability from the Afghan government side. But, what do you attribute it? Is it that the Taliban are becoming more powerful? Is there an inability to deal with that kind of terrorism from the Afghan government? Is there an insincerity? How do you see that?
Well, different people would give you different estimates. I can give you my own personal opinion based upon my reading of the situation, which is that even if the current Afghan government has the ability, it doesn't want to provoke the TTP elements hiding within its soil, because then it perhaps is apprehensive that these people might join hands with other enemies of the current Afghan dispensation and start fighting them. So it's sort of a benign indifference as long as they are attacking Pakistan and not Afghanistan. Because otherwise, what we have seen is that in certain areas where they did want to act, they have acted to quell these insurgents.
In terms of our diplomatic efforts with, along with other countries, for example, China, do you expect them, to be more effective in coming down on this kind of terrorism? How do you see the situation there?
It's a question, I think, now of the economic viability of the Afghan state. So, which Pakistan has made that effort through China and will continue to do so in order to essentially wean away the Afghan government from the enemies of Pakistan, like India, which have been financing them for a while now, is to say that alternative sources of sustenance are available, and if they are serious in availing them, then Pakistan could be a very useful go-between between the Afghan government and China in order to ensure its long-term economic sustenance, and also this issue of Pakistan's trade to Central Asia, and whether the Afghan government is willing to guarantee some sort of security to that trade. Because if that guarantee is forthcoming, then trade will definitely rise between Pakistan and Afghanistan, Pakistan and Central Asia.
But of course, security is central to all of that happening. Do you think if we look at the post-Pahalgam scenario, we look at, the way that that happened, the 4-day fight also happened, then we saw, of course, the summit also, and the interaction overall. Of course, we saw the reaction that came from the world. Do you think that India now understands that they must halt these activities? Do you think that that itself is something that has created a sort of deterrence there?
I'm not optimistic because even the Operation Sindoor, as they called it back in May,
Yes.
India is acting more out of hubris and prejudice than any strategic calculation. If they were acting out of strategic calculation, they would not have attacked Pakistan. But they proceeded to do so. And so even now, when you think about how they have suspended the Indus Waters Treaty and continue to make constant threatening noises of that, Operation Sindoor hasn't finished, it continues to the day. Uh, so essentially saying that we might have a ceasefire, but we do not have peace between the two countries. So I'm not that optimistic. If India was thinking rationally and acting strategically, then I would have more grounds for optimism. But if they're acting out of these Hindutva hubris and Hindutva prejudice and hatred, that might dull their rational and strategic thinking. But this new Pak Saudi agreement
Yes.
might force them to rethink, because India is a major buyer of Saudi oil, almost 650,000 barrels per day from Saudi Arabia. So if Saudi Arabia is now part of the equation between India and Pakistan, that might deter it from entertaining any future attacks.
But if we saw what happened, if we saw the speech that happened by Rahul Gandhi in Parliament, he very clearly said that it is not Pakistan alone, but also when we look what happened, when we look at what's happened in this war, there is China that we have to consider with regard to, of course, the technology and, of course, the fact that it's a huge economy compared to India also. And that doesn't seem to have, like you said, had the kind of deterrence effect that, of course, it should have had as far as India is concerned.
Yeah, but you see, it's very, I think, striking to note that the kind of agreement that was just concluded between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, Pakistan and China do not have such an agreement. They do not have a mutual defense pact. So although China is a now major and long-term strategic partner to Pakistan, it does not have the kind of formal mutual defense agreement that we have just concluded with Saudi Arabia. And that lack of this agreement might have introduced some ambiguity into Indian calculations, which, alhamdulillah, I think we should all be grateful that due to this amazing preparation and work of our armed forces in complete coordination and having control of the battlefield, I think now India is fully disabused of any notion that China's cooperation with Pakistan is limited or it could be handled. Because one of the outcome of the Mahrukh episode is that even not just for India, for the whole world, it's now clear that Chinese weapons platforms are peers of the Western platforms and not in any way less sophisticated.
Right. Mr. Dastagir, it's interesting you're talking about the whole world and, of course, the international community in this regard also. And I want to come to the pact a little later on. But as far as the international community itself is concerned, the role, the potential role that they could have played with the kind of evidence that we have always presented them with consistently so, has been remiss. It doesn't seem to have come from them. Are you hopeful there? Do you think that there's a chance that they will react, or there will be some sort of reaction to what is undeniable proof of the kind of perpetration of terrorism that ensues from the Indian side?
But that requires a tremendous and a simultaneous diplomatic and information initiative or onslaught from Pakistan regarding India's terrorism and its assassination campaign inside Pakistan, and not just as now been exposed in the United States as well as in Canada and in Australia. What is important is that the newfound credibility and geopolitical significance of Pakistan is a rare event in the 21st century, and we should utilize it to the fullest to obtain our strategic advantages, not only in terms of defense, but also in terms of the economy and in terms of creating new relationships like we have just done with Saudi Arabia. Because I think it's very significant that Saudi Arabia made an extraordinary effort to send a signal to the world that it was concluding this agreement. So this formalization of this understanding, which could have been done in a more discreet manner, the way it was done and very openly a signal to the world, I think is also something that should convince the world that Pakistan is now increasing in geopolitical and diplomatic importance.
Coming to the pact itself and the fact that, of course, it formalizes our engagement with Saudi Arabia of many decades in that sense. But there's also speculation, that's misleading. There is misleading narratives, and I want to come to that. We have clarification. We have, clearly been said to the world that this is not symbolism. It is a structured defense framework. This agreement is a formal defense cooperation. It's, rooted in training, consultation, contingency. that there is no nuclear dimension to it. There are clear legal boundaries, and there is also mischaracterization, and the fact that there is also of course, there's a lot of symbolism here. There's also lack of evidence or any kind of actionable intelligence to what is being said. But how are you looking at these kind of misleading narratives or speculation at this time surrounding this pact?
It's a rerun of an old film, which has been running for nearly 45, 50 years, ever since Pakistan's nuclear capability uh, was started becoming visible. If you remember, most of your audience might not remember, in 1981, Israel destroyed an Iraqi nuclear reactor. And since then, Pakistan's nuclear program has been on Israel's radar. It has been on India's radar, and it has been on the United States' radar. Uh, in the last national security assessment that the U.S. published, Pakistan was mentioned only in two backgrounds. First was extremism, religious extremism, and second was the security of Pakistan's nuclear deterrent. So it's been there for the world. It's been, so many names have been called an Islamic bomb. So people have been trying to defame this Pakistan's ability, uh, and so it's a new version of the same old defamation. But although I think for your audience, I would say that we should all be grateful to our leaders from Zulfikar Bhutto to Nawaz Sharif to Abdul Qadir Khan to other scientists, because the three countries that have given up their nuclear deterrent in recent years, Libya, Ukraine, and Iran, look at what happened to them. So Pakistan deterrent is a major source of strength for Pakistan, and it's something that we do not take lightly and will use most responsibly, as we have said time and again.
But, of course, like you said, there's a history to this kind of speculative, I would say, content that is being given out. But how would you respond to the fact that, of course, there are numerous agreements already as far as Pakistan and Saudi Arabia is concerned, as far as training is concerned, as far as our, exchange between our defense capabilities are concerned. Do you see this as a formalization of that? Do you see this, the ambit extending much further on? How do you see it?
First of all, I think it's the 1982 agreement regarding training of personnel. That is the sort of the key document before the current agreement. But it was limited in scope. What the new agreement says, I think the only information we have, the real information we have is from the US, the Saudi media head in Islamabad, who has clarified that this agreement will have a defense industrial collaboration, will have technology transfer, will have military co-production, and capacity building and training. So essentially, the one part that was in the 1992 agreement has now been expanded and formalized into four functions that will, inshallah, be performed by both countries together and increasing the strength of both.
Do you think there's a rather double standard, because of course Saudi Arabia has defense ties with other countries like the US, for example. They're perhaps more normalized. Why is cooperation with Pakistan, with us, why is it being thrown down this road of speculation again?
Because the principal signal that Saudi Arabia has sent, and sent very promptly after the Israeli attack on Qatar, is that the United States will no longer be the sole security umbrella over Saudi soil. I think it's something that has eroded significantly because of what Israel has done in the last 2 years. And I think it's significant to note that Israel over the last 2 years has attacked Iraq, It has attacks Lebanon almost daily. It has attacked Syria frequently. It has attacked Yemen. It has attacked Iran, and now it attacks daily bombs the Palestinian territories. And now the seventh territory it has bombed is Qatar. So in the last 2 years, Israel, because of Israel's complete, unfettered aggression against seven countries in the Middle East, has woken everyone up, and especially Qatar, which hosts nearly 12,000 US personnel at the Al Adid Air Base. Al Adid Air Base is the forward headquarters of Central Command in the US. And the reason that base is there was to give Qatar the security that it needed, and that has proven to be utterly insufficient to protect Qatar. So this is the signal that the Saudi government is sending, that yes, they have long-standing ties with the US, they will continue with the ties, but now they have an alternative in the name of Pakistan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Khurram Dastagir. Thank you so much for your very valuable input on, of course, this very, very important pact, as well as, of course, the terrorist activities and the killing of the BLA operative. We'll be moving on and talking to Munir Akram, who is a former permanent representative of the UN. But of course, as far as the pact itself is concerned, it shows that Pakistan and, of course, US have long-standing ties. In that sense, it formalizes those ties. It is about the fact that, of course, other than, like Mr. Dastagir said, what the 1981 agreement was between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, it formalizes that also. It's an extension of that also. We have with us Munir Akram Sabji. Mr. Akram, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
As far as we've been discussing the Saudi-Pakistan Security Pact, and of course, the fact that now there has been a clarification, there has come a very clear clarification that says that, what the agreement, the pact itself embodies very clearly. The misleading narratives that have ensued after the pact, how do you look at these narratives? And do you think that, of course, after this clarification, and of course, naturally, the relationship between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia, these will, of course, diffuse themselves naturally. How do you look at that situation at this time?
Well, I think the few things to remember or keep in mind about this agreement. Firstly, it is the culmination of a long-standing relationship, which includes a large element in the defense sector. So it is obviously a formalization, if you will, an upgradation of a long-standing relationship that has already existed. Secondly, it is a defensive agreement. It is an agreement designed to deter aggression against either country. And the feeling is that their combined efforts, their combined strength will contribute to a greater deterrence of any aggression against either of them. And thirdly, it's a comprehensive agreement which covers cooperation in the defense field at all levels, sub-conventional, conventional, strategic, etc. So I think these are the parameters of the agreement. Obviously, operationalization of various elements of the agreement, contingency planning, scenario planning, all that will obviously need to happen in order to make this into a living defense agreement between the two countries.
One of the things that has been said as far as the clarification is concerned is that these agreements are standard among defense partners worldwide. For example, US and India, for example, US and Riyadh, for example, the EU alliances. In that sense, this pact itself is along the same lines, right? There's nothing to sort of put it apart from these earlier pacts already existing elsewhere around the world?
Yes, of course. Each agreement is, of course, specific to the context. The NATO agreement, for example, provides the so-called nuclear umbrella to all NATO members. And the nuclear umbrella is provided by the United States and the two other nuclear weapon states, which are members of NATO. The agreements between the US and India are somewhat different because it does not include the common action clause or the common protection clause, which is in NATO. So each agreement is
Unique, of
specific.
course, but it is
I
quite
believe-
normal to have these agreements in place.
Yeah.
Right. So also,
Yes, of
as
course,
far as
every country has a sovereign right to have defense agreements with other countries. So it is not exceptional in that context.
But regionally speaking, in terms of your regional, as far as the regional mechanisms, for example, do you see this a shift in any way?
Well, certainly, I think the formalization of the relationship has a significance, and I think you cannot discount that significance that we have now formalized a mutual defense agreement with Saudi Arabia. And it has, as I said, it had formalized existing understandings. So that is significant, and it has announced to the world the nature of the defense agreement and the defense cooperation and the defense commitments between the two countries as such. And that's the significant, but it is a defensive pact. It is a pact which seeks to deter aggression. It is not aimed at anybody or any specific context.
So in the broader context, for example, as far as the Gulf is concerned or Iran is concerned, as far as, broader China-US nexus is concerned, how do you see this pact developing in that sense? As far as other relationships?
Yeah, you see, if there is no country which entertains aggressive intentions towards Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, they should have no problem with this defensive agreement. But if there is a country, for example, India, which entertains aggressive intentions against Pakistan, they will naturally be concerned that Pakistan has strengthened its deterrence capability. If you see it, Iran has no intentions against either Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, but India does have towards Pakistan. And Saudi Arabia will have to see where the threat comes from. Countries which may have intentions against us could be concerned, but if they have no intentions against us, they should not be concerned.
And also in terms of our balancing relationships, as far as foreign policy as a whole is concerned, it should not, and it's not likely to impact our relationship with other countries, and that has also clearly been said. So that kind of speculation is needless and useless, right?
Yes, of course, all political analysts and sometimes news channels want to see more than there is in something, But obviously, this is a political, an act of political significance for the two countries. It is politically significant for the region, but it is a deterrence and a defensive agreement, and one should not read into that something that is not there in the agreement itself.
In terms of a new regional bloc, do you think that is just another kind of circumspection, another kind of, there's little to reality to that also? Or do you think that, perhaps there is another chance of a regional bloc emerging here?
Well, I think one thing this indicates is Pakistan's great and intense commitment to its relationship with Saudi Arabia. And not only Saudi Arabia, because we have a similar, not formalized, but similar defense cooperation with other countries in the Gulf. And therefore, it indicates a larger role for Pakistan in regional peace and security. And we should welcome that, because Pakistan is the most strongest Muslim country. It is a strong regional power. It has good relationships with all the major powers. And therefore, Pakistan's role is a positive role in promoting regional peace and security. And I think that should be welcomed by everybody who wants stability in the Gulf region and in the Middle East.
Even apart from the security aspect of it, there's a very clear other aspect, and that is, of course, economic collaboration. That is on economy, on investment side. How do you see that panning out? Because, of course, it means that Pakistan has resources of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in a sense, when it has that kind of perhaps more potential for collaboration in investment in economy. And that, and even on the security side, that means more perhaps collaboration in terms of of course equipment, security equipment, or we talk about infrastructure. All of those things, it seems to encompass that also, right?
Right. It's obvious. You see, if Pakistan is interested as a partner in preserving peace and stability in Saudi Arabia, it will do whatever it can to contribute to Saudi Arabia's security. In the same sense, in Pakistan, economic and social development is a necessity for peace and stability in Pakistan. And therefore, Saudi Arabia, as a partner, would be expected to help in stabilizing the Pakistani economy and also in addressing some of the issues that we are facing, for example, on counterterrorism and on economic development. I think we would, as partners, as strategic partners, we would work together to resolve the underlying issues which threaten peace and stability in each country.
But, even traditionally speaking, Pakistan and Saudi Arabia have become a target for geopolitical competitors. There's always been this effort to delegitimize the deal, to reflect perhaps regional power anxieties or whatever we may call them. So how does Pakistan deal with that? Or again, do you think that this will naturally be something that will, diffuse itself?
Well, as I said, if no external power has any bad intentions or aggressive intentions towards Pakistan or Saudi Arabia, they would have no objection to our defense cooperation, our economic cooperation. Therefore, I believe that Pakistan enjoys good relations with all the major powers. Saudi Arabia, too, has good relations with the US, with China, with other countries. It has normalized its relations with Iran. Therefore, I don't think that any of the regional powers, except perhaps India, should have a problem with this agreement.
How do you assess the reaction that has come from the Indian side?
Well, I think their reaction is just playing for time. They said we will study it and so forth. And their media is reflecting the anxiety. Yes. Obviously, India will find that Pakistan, with a partnership with Saudi Arabia, combined with the partnerships that we already have with China, Turkey, and others, Pakistan will be in a much better position to deter Indian aggression, both in terms of capabilities and in terms of confidence, which we have gained after this last 4-day conflict with India. So India sees its dreams of dominating Pakistan, of coercing Pakistan, those dreams are going up in smoke.
In terms of posturing, of course, post Pahalgam, I think it's extremely important. Also, the GCC, overall, one, how does it culminate? How does it figure as far as the Muslim world is concerned? And how does it look as far as the Muslim world is concerned when of course, two Muslim countries like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, and the pact that this pact that they have now entered into. How do you see that in terms of the OIC, in terms of the Muslim world? How do you see this, positioning itself as far as the Muslim world is concerned?
Well, it's in the Muslim world and among friendly countries. Obviously, the Pakistan-Saudi Arabia agreement comes as no surprise.
Okay.
And it is not a major deflection from either Pakistan's policy approach or Saudi Arabia's policy approach, foreign policy approach. So it is no surprise there. I think the only countries which may have concerns are those, as I said, those which have aggressive intentions or intentions to dominate the region. Those countries will find that with this partnership between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia and Pakistan's larger role in the region itself, that their intentions, if they have aggressive intentions, those intentions will become much more difficult to achieve.
As far as the OIC is concerned, do you feel that this probably it makes it stronger in any way? It makes it more effective in any way? The way that it looks to the world?
Well, OIC is a very large organization, with almost 55 countries. And there are diverse countries regionally and economically, militarily as such. I think the impact will be much more focused on the immediate region, and the immediate region being South Asia on the one side, where Pakistan is, and the Gulf region, where Saudi Arabia is. And there will be cascading impact on the broader Middle East and perhaps in the Islamic world. Hopefully, it will provide greater confidence to Islamic countries that we, as Islamic countries, as Arab and Muslim countries, that we have the capability through cooperation to enhance our own security against external threats.
And also, it could potentially have a ripple effect as far as investment, on economy also, right? Because of course, the resources of Saudi Arabia remains, and if we are going to be collaborating, it does give us, a heightened sense of, maybe we can achieve more in terms of economy, in terms of investment.
Certainly, I think Saudi Arabia is already committed to contributing to Pakistan's economic and social development. I think the willingness on the part of Saudi Arabia is there. What we should be looking for is that we should have good, realistic and feasible projects for cooperation that we should be able to present to our partners in Saudi Arabia so that they can actually help us. This is the key. We have a lot of hard work to do inside Pakistan in order to be able to present investable projects which can enhance our economic and social development and thereby enhance our security and stability.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your very valuable time, Mr. Munir Akram. Thank you for giving us a broad and such a detailed analysis of the Pakistan and Saudi pact and what it means for Pakistan and for the world. That's it for tonight. Thank you so much for being with us on Perspective.